Hello everybody and welcome back to the wonderful 101 Extras. This time we are going into play for the QuickTime event fails. Yes, that's right, this is just over 30 minutes of every single QuickTime event fail in the entire game. Well, maybe not exactly every single one, but almost all. There's one or two that I just kind of left out because they were really boring and didn't do anything. But what's really awesome is that some of these are so funny. Like, the fact that there are so many kind of QuickTime events in the game, and that they took the time to create these kind of humorous scenes to happen when you failed, well, if you failed, just shows how much effort was put into this game, because, I mean, a lot of people will never see these things. Like, I think pretty much when I first played the game, I only ever saw one of them. And that was during the fight with Vicky, I believe. But all of the others, QuickTime events, they give you more than enough time to kind of get them working. But some of them are just great. This one's a bit pants. And there are a number of wonder jumps that are a bit pants. So there's going to be less wonder jumps like this in the thing. So I can't believe how much health that thing took off. I was just like, blooming heck. Now, what I've tried to do here is just kind of make sure that everything flows really nicely, so that we get through these things as speedily as possible, because, as you can tell, there's a lot. And if you were wondering when I recorded this was recorded in conjunction with all of the missing bits, apart from 5 QuickTime events, which I had to play the first 4 and a bit operations to get, because you can't get them after you've unlocked the characters with which they are associated. It's rather mean. Like this one. So you get this QuickTime event when you first run into Wonder Green, and if you fail it the first time, then you get this really funny cutscene, which is just great. But if you don't, and you try and come back to get it later when you have Wonder Green in your party, you don't get that. You don't even get the cutscene of him turning up. Which, I mean, makes sense, but it's a pain when you're trying to do stuff like this. Now, another thing about some of the QuickTime events in the game is that if you fail them, you don't get kind of any penalty. Sometimes you don't even get a scene. It's like the one of you punching Orochi's head into the building. If you fail that, you just kind of fly back onto his body, and you don't get any penalty at all. Others, however, sometimes if you fail them, you get a game over. It's most evident in Operation 005, as you will see. But up until then, pretty much all of the QuickTime events failed either just hurt you, or don't do anything. Also, something that I noticed, because I wanted to play through the game on very easy, because I just thought, that'll make things nice and simple. No. When I failed Green's QuickTime event, it did it for me. I got the error thing, and he still pulled out a Unite gun, and I was kind of just like, what? I mean, I'm totally all for kind of helping players out, but that was kind of just like, why? I'm playing it on very easy to fail. And you won't let me. But thankfully easy allows you to do everything just fine. And to be perfectly honest, playing on easy is probably preferable, because it's much easier to get a platinum overall, because you enemies don't die as quickly as they do on very easy, therefore you can get a much higher combo ranking, because that's probably what's going to screw you over in easy mode more than anything. Now, another thing I will say is that we are shortly going to get our first QuickTime event fail with Pink. And I absolutely love the QuickTime event fails with Pink. They're some of the best in the entire game. Also, be prepared to see Nelson spill his tea a lot. It's one of the commonly recurring QuickTime event fails in the game. There are a few like that, where they kind of just use the same thing again and again and again, which is a bit cheap, but considering most people will never see these things, and some of them have a lot of effort put into them, I can't really blame them. Remember how Pink got introduced as the Queen of Rage? Yeah, we're about to see that in full force. She is angry, and that was just an excellent fourth wall break. I love it. Absolutely love it. Now, I have absolutely no idea what happened to Green's face in that portrait there. It seemed a bizarre colour. Also, when I was saying there was the QuickTime event in which Pink talks to Wonder Cheerleader, it's not this one, it's in the boss. That one's still quite funny. Yeah, this one's going to be funny as well. Look at the little halo and wings. So adorable. I'll also say that there's a lot of the wonderful ones looking at the screen as they are about to get hit by incredibly horrible pain. Red does it quite a bit, White's going to do it as well. White's in particular are rather amusing. Oh dear, Red. And here we go. We're coming up to one of the best QuickTime event fails in the game. If anything, it's the one that you want to see above all else. Because it's the one with the stonking Beautiful Joe reference in it. Pink, this is not the time to powder your nose, dear. And here it is. So, if you failed this QuickTime event, you will get this happen.
Oh my god! What is happening?
What the heck did she say? Well, fail it 10 times in a row, and I do mean in 10 times in a row. It's a pain to get, but either way, you get this version of it.
Oh my god!
And it's slowed down. It's glorious.
Nothing, girl. How is Joe? He's good, but he's stuck
me up last night. Said something about the last movie in a red-hot trilogy.
He did what? Tell him to quit going to the movies all the time. Such a deadbeat.
I know.
No, I do not think he's red hot. You are a crazy girl.
That Beautiful Joe reference is just glorious, and yes, that is the voice of Sylvia / Wonder Cheerleader. And yes, they are talking about Joe, although I would assume that in this universe she is talking about Poseman. But either way, I think it's just so brilliant that they included that. And even if waiting kind of 10 times for that fail is a lot, it was so worth it. So worth it. I'll also point out that there's really not a lot of actual QuickTime event fails within Operation 003. In 003A, all there is yellow. Oh, God, you can feel the pain. Now there's at least one use of Unite Gun during this boss fight where you get a basically identical QuickTime event fail. I believe it's coming up shortly. I'm not showing off both of them, but they are essentially the same. It's the same with firing at Gagujin earlier, when he's throwing the building at you. You get an identical thing. Now Pink, please make sure your phone doesn't ring this time. Oh, we just get exploded. That's slightly depressing. Now it's this QuickTime event here that is identical if you fail the first bit or the second bit. That's literally all it is. I will say that there are some QuickTime event fails that are far superior to others, and it is quite evident that the effort was put into those ones rather than some of them, but I still think it's just quite awesome that they did this.
Doers of an evil, prepare to answer for your crimes.
You really don't get kind of developers putting this much love into their games these days, it seems to me. Like, you don't really get anything either way. It's like if you do well at something, then you get to progress, and if you fail, you just kind of either get to do it again, or get a game over, and there's no kind of incentive, really. Whereas here, because in a way, there is an incentive to fail the QuickTime events to see what's going to happen. But then there's also incentive to succeed in them because succeeding results in some quite cool events. Also, oh, I feel so sorry for White there. That just looked really, really, really painful. Now, for some bizarre reason, I was under the impression that in this kind of boss fight, you kind of pressed A to kind of flick Odako about a bit. But for some reason that doesn't happen. Might happen if you catch the tentacles during the fight, but it doesn't happen afterwards, unfortunately. I'll also say, I think there's only one place that I've seen which has done a collection of the QuickTime event files. I can't remember the name of the YouTube channel, but someone else on YouTube has done this, and I will say that I use them as a source for kind of when I was struggling to remember where the QuickTime event fails were in the footage that I had recorded. Although I will say that they have, I've got, I believe, at least one more QuickTime event that they don't have. Because I mean, the thing is that there's so many QuickTime events in this game that it's very, very, very easy to miss some. Because some of them only occur if you fail at the right moment, or if you succeed in kind of pulling out your Unite Morph at the right moment. So it's very, 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 very easy to miss some of them, and I'm sure I missed a few. But this is kind of a lot, and they are the main ones anyway. Now the very weird thing about the two kind of QuickTime events here is that if you fail them, you don't get kind of any penalty. It literally just goes straight back into kind of the QuickTime event. So failing that one, the Dakar comes back immediately. It's bizarre, but fair enough. I mean, don't get penalised for it. Well, that's fine by me. Now we are about to get to the moment where I was not too impressed with the QuickTime event fails. It's pretty much only this operation and maybe Operation 008C. But up until this point, failing a QuickTime event leads to nothing more than kind of a health penalty. However, this one leads to death. The same is also true of the bit earlier where you're supposed to shoot at Agujin. But that one doesn't have any real cutscene. But basically, all of the QuickTime events associated with Walgo Gujin result in an instant game over if you fail them. Which is really, really, really mean. Maybe not this one, but, well, it might do. But the kind of, the one when you fight just after you've fought him and the one in the tunnel, they both equal death. And if you were doing what I did, not really caring about your grade, that means retry. If, however, you do care about your grade, instant do-over. So that QuickTime event is still one of the most awesome things ever. Just kind of the way it's kind of set up just looks so awesome. Also, this is what happens when you don't pull a very big punch.
Call that a wake-up call?
Not really, but I would say that that's slightly more of a wake-up call. Now, something that I will say is reasonably disappointing is that during the fight with Vulcan, you would have probably expected some unique quick time event fails, but no, pretty much all of them are Nelson spilling his tea. Now, I love that one because it's hilarious. Well, I mean, it's not hilarious because, I mean, that poor tea, it deserves to be drank, not spilled over everything. But it's just still quite funny to see him lose his cool for a moment because of how embarrassingly bad we are being. However, if you are desirous of some slightly different QuickTime event fails, we are going to get up to some pretty awesome ones. There is going to be a variation on the Nelson one, but it's not with Nelson, which is quite funny. I believe it might be coming up now, actually. There it is. The glare from Alice, it just sends a shiver down your spine. It makes you think, I really should have done better there. Really, really, really. I believe it was actually Unify Naginata that I failed when I first played through the game, maybe. I believe it might have been. I thought it was during... Might be here. I remember seeing Alice. Okay, it wasn't that one. I distinctly remember seeing Alice, so it was probably when we first met Jugi, because I was just like, how do I do this Unite Morph? This is weird. But either way, we are very briskly heading towards the end of the game in terms of the QuickTime event fails now. Yeah, there's a lot, as you can gather. Also, yeah, these ones count as instant death too. Now this one's kind of quite interesting, because you only get it if you get sucked down by the Odarko, but it also equates to a instant death, which is always nice. Now, one thing that you may be wondering is, so the QuickTime event in the final boss was really, 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 really awesome. What did they do to that QuickTime event if you failed it? Well, you're about to see, it's probably one of my favourites alongside the pink phone call QuickTime event fail. Although this is odd, but also quite amusing. The funny story about this kind of string of QuickTime events is that when I was recording, the recording decided to screw up at precisely this point. So I had to sit through that animation a ridiculous amount of times in order to get the recording software to kind of record again. And you can't pause during these QuickTime events. I mean, it'd be kind of cheating if you could, but doesn't make my job very easy. I still love this segment, even though it annoys me so much. It's just really cool. And even though it's a pain to kind of get through, it's just so epic. So epic. And now we finally reach Geathjerk, and my word, there are a lot of QuickTime events with this guy. Like, more so than I realised. Although the best kind of two are obviously left till the end. Although failing to punch the Wonder Punch from Geathjerk also does lead to rather amusing results. Yeah, you salute us, dude. Salute us for all you're worth. And we are getting close. We are getting very close to that ever so wonderful QuickTime event. In all of its insane glory. I mean, I'd say if anything, I don't think I mentioned it during the actual walkthrough itself, but kind of the final kind of act of the Wonderful 101, for me at least, makes the entire price of admission worth it. Like, all of the frustrations that I've had with this game are more than made up for by this final boss. It's just kind of too wonderful not to love. And so, kind of, I will forgive this game every time for what it puts me through for this final boss and this QuickTime event.
I won't let you destroy our future!
One thing is certain, Geathjerk. Our quest for justice will last far longer than today.
CHIQ, Mama Mustard! Fire!
Now, I kind of wanted to fail this particular QuickTime event in the walkthrough, because failure of it doesn't mean that you're going to get a penalty. It goes literally straight back into it, but I wanted a slightly more epic finale than failing this one, which leads to a really hilarious result. Yep, you move the Earth out of the way, and then you go straight back into the CHIQ Marble Buster Fire. It's great. But then also kind of failing the mashing exercise also is quite funny. Now, surprisingly, I didn't realise this, but I'm better at mashing than I realise, because this kind of QuickTime event doesn't faze me in the slightest, but I heard tell that there are quite a few people that kind of just can't mash fast enough, and so kind of really struggle with it. I didn't think it kind of asked that much of you, but evidently it does. I mean, I guess after the entire boss fight, your hand's knackered by the end. But either way, I mean, anyone who's played Mario Party is probably, or the end of Sonic Unleashed, has probably kind of developed a decent mashing command. And with these final QuickTime event fails from the epilogue, our kind of gameplay segment is coming to a close. We only have, I believe it's 2 more parts of gameplay, and those are the wonderful missions, which will be beginning next. And they are quite awesome, if maybe a little bit superfluous to the rest of the package. Either way, it's time to head on to the wonderful missions. Let's do this.